I was just straightening up my knees to try to pull myself up over this ledge, and I heard this thing that I never heard before, but I knew exactly what it was. It was a rattler. Hello, friends, and welcome back to Zapp Savvy, the podcast that electrifies your world with energy solutions.
That's right. We're back for another episode. I'm Mike Sokol.
And I'm Doug Curtis, and we're your hosts.
Okay, first it's time for our favorite outdoor adventures. Okay, Doug, you had part one last time. What's part two of your camping story?
I want you to visualize a long time ago, and I did have a jungle hammock with me, but it wasn't one like my dad gave me from World War II. In fact, I'm just going to put on my hat to tell this story. Okay. The night before, or the day before we arrived on the west coast of Costa Rica in the jungle, we hiked, I don't know, for at least an hour through the trees. I mean, there's no roads, coconut palms, jungle, and right to the beach. And so we find this beautiful beach. The coconut palms are running north and south. It's the Pacific Ocean. We're on the beach. We find a few trees. We hang the hammock. The hammock is up high. We got double hammocks. So one hammock is about 9 feet up. I mean, way up. I didn't know what kind of animals there were in Costa Rica. And so Brian, he's a member of the Sierra Mountain Rescue Team. He's above me, right? And so we got two hammocks like this. Wake up in the morning. It's early. I mean, it's like pre-dawn, which means you can see, but you can't see, but we hear a four-wheel drive vehicle. We know that at low tide, you could get across this peninsula where we were. This guy has a four-wheel drive vehicle. Two guys get out. It's early morning, and they're walking towards us, and we're in our hammocks. Like, we're in Costa Rica. I mean, like, we're gringos. I mean, like, are we
Pirates?
in the wrong place? We don't know what's happening. The guy reaches up like this, right? He picks up a long stick. I mean, a long stick, like twice as long as a broomstick, like 16 feet. Pokes it up into the branch right above me, or on the side where my hammock is tied to this tree over here, and he's over here by this tree, and all of a sudden, down. I mean, I swear to God, you can't make this up. A snake is like swirling around, green, like as big around as that, on the stick, right? And he flaps it all around, boom, throws it into a bag. He is a wild animal, found out later, capture of animals, and then he exports them to Costa Rica all around the world. Well, the story goes on from there, because he finds another one, a brown one, in the other tree. I mean, like, I'm sleeping in the trees.
You're sleeping in Snake Central.
Anyway, that's my story.
Well, there you go. Well, mine isn't quite so filled. This one's not quite so filled with danger, but this is when my twin brother Joe and I had just turned 16, and we were going on a camping trip to Canada, up on the Gaspé Peninsula. This time with the Plymouth station wagon and pulling our Cox pickup, little pop-up camper. And so the deal was, because my older brother, 20 minutes older than me, he got to drive going into Canada. I got to drive coming out. But this was the day of the first moonwalk. And so I was in my Cox pop-up camper with my parents, and I was building a ST's model rocket. Ever remember that stuff? So I could be in the mood. Right? In the mood, and listening to the moon landing on a little AM radio with batteries in it. So, I mean, this is all the electric that we had at that time. And it was just the most surreal thing, looking out through the woods, listening to the moon landing, and building an ST's model rocket, sitting there. Maybe it was the glue fumes while I was in the camper. I don't know, but I still remember it like it was yesterday. It was just one of those amazing little takeaways that you have when you're out camping, which is what we enjoyed so much about camping.
Yeah. Mike, great story. But Hey, I know our audience tuned in to get part two with our guest.
Yes. Isn't Dennis great, man? He is like a walking encyclopedia of knowledge on this stuff.
Yeah, let's just jump right back into this, okay?
Okay. So again, just a recap, I'm getting tons and tons of questions about lithium batteries. So this is part 2 of my interview with Dennis Wieske from Progressive Dynamics. He's had a long career and everything electrical. It's amazing. When I ask him a question, when I'm talking to him, he'll say, hold on a minute. I've got this on my bench. I'll get you a measurement. 30 seconds later, he's hooking stuff up while he's talking to me. Well, I see it's so many amperes here. It's so many volts. Does that agree with what you're thinking? I'm like, he's just doing it while he's chatting with me on his bench. Isn't that cool?
That's very
okay. Cool. So let's welcome him back, if you would, Doug.
Yeah. Dennis, please, let's jump in here and not waste any time. You have we have a lot of list of questions for you. Let's get started.
This is just questions I get all the time on my daily newsletter. Can you mix lithium batteries with existing AGM or flooded lead acid? I've got a couple good flooded flooded lead acids already. Can't I just add on a lithium battery in parallel? Will that work?
No.
You're right. It won't work.
Straight up, no. The problem is that the lithium batteries do require a higher charging voltage. If you continue to apply a high voltage to a lead acid battery, or any voltage to a lead acid battery, it will gas. And the higher the voltage, the more gassing that is going to take place. You will destroy the lead acid battery in a very short amount of time.
That's what I found too. Next question. Will solar panels with an MPPT charge controller set to lithium, can that finish charging your lithium? That is, could I put the lithium batteries in an RV with an existing lead acid charger that only gets me to 80% slowly, but will the solar panels finish topping off my drink, as it were?
They can. The caveat here, though, is do you have enough solar power to do that? So solar is questionable only because of the fact of how much sun do you have and how many solar panels do you have? What is its capability of providing that charge to the battery? The MPPT controller does a great job of taking whatever the solar can provide and provide that output voltage and whatever current then is available to the battery. However, if you have a large battery bank and a small solar panel, no, you won't finish charging because you'll run out of daylight. But with the larger panels, and we're starting to see arrays of 400, 800, 1600 watts of solar panels on some of the bigger rigs, yeah, it's a good possibility you will. You have to realize, too, most people use very little electricity during the daytime. They use it at night. They have lights. They may just said, okay, well, I'm not going to run an air conditioner, so I can shut off the generator and let's just run on batteries. So they may have exhaust fans running. Those are going to pull a few amps. They may have a medical device that they wear overnight, a CPAP machine or something of that nature. That's going to draw power on the batteries. So hopefully then in the morning, when you have that solar producing, then maybe you will be able to fully charge those batteries. Really have to match your usage and your charging capability.
Right. One of the things that I've found is the furnace, the blower motor in the furnace for your propane powered furnace, that can draw 8 amps when it's running. That can flatten out a battery overnight, because I've got guys first time out, they said my furnace cut off and my battery's dead, and it was only like 3 a.m, and I went, you don't have enough battery. You're drawing too much stuff overnight. You're exactly right.
Same as a CPAP machine, you may draw 8 amps on that. Recommend that you disconnect the heater, a portion of that while you're using it. That will reduce your amperage. There are things that are going to draw amperage overnight. So a battery monitor or a lithium battery that has a built-in monitor with a Bluetooth, you can learn your usage. The biggest part about boondocking is, I relate it to this. If you are out in the desert and don't have a fuel gauge on your car or a broken one, how much gas do you have, and are you going to get stuck in the middle of the desert? Boondocking is the same way. The gas is your battery. So if you are aware of your battery capability, capacity, and your discharge or your usage, then you can better plan, how many batteries do I need? Do I need to increase my solar panels? Is my generator going to provide enough charging for me? Those are the questions you need to ask when you're boondocking. And that fuel gauge, whether it is an external shunt with a meter that can tell you charging rates, amperage, state of charge, or if it's internal to the battery, in either case, it's a plus. Otherwise, you're flying blind, and that could put you in a bad situation.
Okay, so now here's one I've not been brave enough to try. I've seen this a couple of times accidentally. If you have a lead acid battery and you drop a wrench across the top of it, you get your wedding ring in the middle of it, that will cause all kinds of damage to your hand, to the battery, to everything else. But lithium batteries, because they have a BMS, can you accidentally short out the negative and positive terminals without doing damage to yourself or the battery?
So I'm not really sure on how quickly they react on a short circuit. I know the technology is there to do that. Our converters on a short circuit will instantly shut down. However, if it is a low resistance circuit, then it's just looking at it as a heavy load. So you may have 3 to 5 seconds of, say, on a 100 amp hour battery, 200 amps running through that. That is enough power to do a lot of damage. So it really depends. I would believe that the BMS in the battery is designed to detect a dead short. However, they also have the capability of giving you that little extra power for
Right.
starting or for startup of a compressor where you may need a little more energy for a very short period of time.
But this is why I try to use non-conductive tools when working around batteries, or some of them allow you to shut the battery down internally with a little switch. So it basically shuts off the output terminals for hookups, which I feel a lot safer on, because I've been up close and personal when people have shorted batteries out through their wedding rings, and it was ugly. Okay, next question. Do lithium solar equipped RVs create electric brake problems in modern vehicles?
I know you've done some study on that, Mike. I have it myself.
I know this. Okay. So what we found is I had a number of my readers complaining that the latest 2024 HD GMC trucks with built-in e-brakes, what would happen is you'd be going down the road towing a massive fifth wheel, and all of a sudden it would say trailer disconnected. And so it would shut down the braking system. You'd have to stop, shut off your ignition, turn it back on to make this work. Now, what we discovered, and I was talking to one of the guys at Dexter Axle about this on their braking systems, and what we found was that because there's a higher voltage in the RV batteries and the solar panels, which are running, while you're going down the road, it's backfeeding that into the brake controller, or I should say, into the 7-way plug on the truck, and the truck's computer says, there's too much voltage back there. I'm just going to disconnect the brakes. And apparently I did find a technical service bulletin that GMC, they or GM, I should say, issued then. And they're supposed to be doing a software fix and the diode fix and who knows what kind of fix. So yeah, there are a number of modern trucks with built-in brake controllers that don't like this. And so the one workaround was to shut off the solar panels while you're towing this thing so that it didn't have the higher charge voltage, which would disrupt your braking system. And it's silly. I talked to a number of the automotive engineers, I don't think these guys have ever towed an RV trailer. They may have towed a heavy trailer with, farm equipment or a digger or whatever on it. But this idea of an RV that's got its own battery bank and solar charging system is just completely foreign to them. I think that's what got them into trouble. So more on that. Ugh.
Wow.
And it's dangerous. I actually did one where I lost my brakes on a big RV behind me, and it's surprisingly easy to fade the brakes on your truck when you've got an extra 10 or 12,000 pounds of trailer behind you pushing, and its brakes aren't working. It's scary. How long will lithium batteries power your RV refrigerator?
So there's a lot of new technology out in refrigerators right now. So they are using 12-volt compressors rather than the old style ammonia type refrigerator. So those can draw up to 8 amps, I believe. I know that the manufacturers do require increased wiring. So this brings up another issue that when you're calculating your power, you also have to know the cycle rate. So what I mean by that is that if you're drawing 8 amps and you have a 100 amp hour battery, well, that gives you 10 hours, 12 hours of usable power. However, a refrigerator cycles on and off. So if you're on a 50% duty cycle, that 12-hour now becomes 24 hours. So there's a lot of calculations involved. Part of it is understanding your equipment, what it can do, how it operates. That's key to all of this.
What I've found is that the difference between a residential RV refrigerator with a inverter to run it compared to a 12-volt native DC compressor like a Danfoss compressor, it can be as much as 50% difference. So for instance, I found that I can run an 8 cubic foot Vitrifrigo refrigerator, 12-volt Danfoss compressor for somewhere close to 40 hours off of that, because it's cycling at about 50% of the time. But a residential refrigerator was about half of that. It was 16 to 18 hours. Plus, I found that some of these have got the defrost cycle built into them. And if you're on battery power, the last thing you want to do is heat up your refrigerator with a defrost cycle. I wait till I get back and defrost it. So even on the RV refrigerators, I've had to go find out where the fuse is that you pull so it doesn't go into a defrost cycle every once in a while. How silly is that? It's okay when you're on shore power. When you're on battery power, not a good thing. What about DC to DC chargers in your tow vehicle or motorhome? I mean, can you just hook a lithium battery right onto your alternator in your motorhome? Is that a good idea, or do you really need a DC to DC charger?
So the trailer versus the motorhome brings up two different kinds of issues. So a trailer is generally connected through a 7-pin connector with maybe a 10-gauge wire, and usually a pretty good distance to get from the alternator battery back to the RV. So you are limited on the amount of current that can be drawn through that circuit anyways. And with the small wire gauge and the extended wire length, you're not going to get effective charging. You may get enough power to operate other sensors and so forth, but it's not going to be an effective charging or charger, excuse me. On a motorhome, generally they are wired for the alternator to directly charge through a isolator to charge the house battery. So the isolator allows the alternator to charge not only the chassis battery, but it will also charge the house battery. But when you are not running the engine, keeps those two batteries isolated so you don't run down your house battery and can't start your vehicle. So that isolation is critical. However, like we discussed earlier, lithium batteries will draw everything that you can throw at it. So, and some of the alternators are smart alternators as well. They will have an increased voltage if it detects a low battery or a high current draw. So potentially you could overdraw on your alternator or continue to draw at high rates and burn out components, especially if you're at idle speed.
Wow, this is really great. I mean, Dennis, I want to thank you so much again. This has been great. I think people really, really have to take the smart pill in order to be able to get to the level that we've been talking about today. But I'm grateful for the information. We are, again, going to try to load up the additional resources for people who want to dig in here. This has been great. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you very much for having me.
Attention RVers, now you can start and run 2 ACs in your rig plus several appliances at the same time. Previously, to start your RV AC easily, you'd have to use a large generator or install one of our SoftStartRVs inside your rooftop AC units. Well, our newest SoftStartup gives you all the benefits of having SoftStartRV devices in each of your AC units without having to climb up on your roof, figure out the wiring and the connections, or pay a service center to install it for you. Hi, I'm Doug Curtis, and I'm the co-founder of SoftStart USA, the company that makes the SoftStartup and our entire line of proven SoftStarter devices for RV, home, and marine AC appliances. Well, we listened, and we worked our tails off for 2 years with engineers from 2 different companies, including our own in-house team, to develop the world's first plug-and-play SoftStart that we guarantee will start and run 2 ACs and several of your appliances simultaneously. No other company has this, and if they claim it, let's see the proof. I'm about to show you the proof. My friend, what this means is that you can now experience the benefits of having 2 or more of our SoftStarts installed and working perfectly in the background immediately after you plug in the SoftStart up, without the installation work that's usually required. Just imagine being able to plug in your SoftStart up to your generator or your power pedestal or your solar power inverter and never have to worry about juggling the decision over which needs to run now, your AC unit or another appliance. No more worries about hot, sticky, sweaty summers in the RV or the biting cold during winter RV trips. You plug in your SoftStart up and focus while you started RVing in the first place, whether that's outdoor adventures, quality vacation time with your family, or just being more comfortable in your RV lifestyle every day. Right now, we're offering free shipping on all orders to any location in the continental USA and Canada. See the price listed below. I urge you to place your order ASAP, as we've got limited supplies in stock. Get your SoftStart up at the current advertised discount before the price goes up. Visit SoftStartup.com now to place your order.
I hope our listeners enjoyed that as much as I did. Dennis is so much fun to talk to. Sometimes we just chat about this stuff. I know you should be working. I should be working. And all we're doing is talking about stuff. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Zapp Savvy, where our mission is to
power up your adventures and charge your life with knowledge.
And thank you again to our sponsor, SoftStart USA.
Please be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I'm really looking for those subscribers.
And be sure to comment what you like or what you don't like. Ask questions about what you want to know. There is so much to know about on all of these topics, and we love your feedback.
Yeah, thank you so very much, and we'll see you next time on
Zapp Savvy.